Call this meeting to order. All members of the Public Assembly Facilities Commission Marketing Subcommittee are participating virtually. For virtual meetings, commission members will be muted until asked to be heard. At that time, they will be recognized and will be unmuted. When there is a vote, it will be necessary to take a roll call vote. A commission member will be recognized and will raise their hand and state their vote. Today's meeting is a public meeting. Citizens can listen to the meeting if they contacted the city manager's office to make the necessary arrangements. The meeting will also be live streamed on the city's YouTube channel. A recording of today's meeting will be available by Friday, July 15th, 2022 on the city's website. Thank you everyone for joining. We will start off with a roll call.
Bill Oakes.
Here.
Billy Rich.
Here.
Haley Jingles.
Here.
Vicki Miller. Not on. And then Ray Bowden.
Here.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Looks like we just have a very light agenda today to go over the community engagement survey results.
Yeah, I will. Well, I'll just kick it off, and then I'm gonna pass it to DJ. Rachel, are you gonna pull up the PowerPoint, the new one, or it looks like DJ's got it? Okay, cool. Yeah, so I think in the end we had 875, I believe, proposed surveys turned in, which I think was pretty good. I think we're at like 800-ish that night we met at the Home and Garden building, so not much traction after that. But I still think, considering probably the community initiative and for how important it may or may not be as where it ranks on city issues, that's probably a pretty good result. Frank, I don't know if you want to chime in before we kick to DJ on anything we did marketing wise. I know we spent a good amount of money on radio and TV. I don't know if you want to recap that real quick.
Yeah, I'm not sure I got the figures off the top of my head, but we did do some radio and TV ads, mostly to drive people to the public meeting, because there's no ability to actually click on something on a radio ad or a TV ad. So we thought that those ads ought to more steer people to the public meeting. We all know how well that worked out. But the other ads seemed to work just great. I think you had great participation. We promoted it pretty heavily. Thanks to DJ, we even promoted it at the First Downtown Jazz and gave away some Charlie Wilson tickets. And that had a steady stream of people going up to the table and taking the survey by clicking on the QR code. So I think it worked out well.
All right, cool. DJ, if you want to go ahead and roll through these results, I'd go kind of slowly, one page at a time. And commission members, if you have any input on anything specific, if need be, I think DJ could maybe pull up on the back end more specific results. But yeah, I'll kick it to DJ now.
All right, thank you. So like Robert said, I'll kind of go through each page a little slowly. You'll see in the beginning, I kind of recapped what happened, because there's a lot of percentages, a lot of colors, a lot of words, and they're kind of small on every page. So it kind of takes a minute to digest. Hopefully, if you got a chance to see it before the meeting, you'll be able to do better, just kind of reading it slowly on your own, maybe. So what we learned, 90% of the survey participants have attended an event at the fairgrounds in the last 10 years. 61% of participants are likely to attend the Carolina Classic Fair. One thing that I did notice, kind of looking deeper into the results on the back end, was that it seemed like our basically non-Hispanic participants were much more likely to attend the fair. It seemed like Hispanic participants were more so in like the 5 to 6 range on a scale from 1 to 10. Just something I kind of noticed off the top of my head. 81% of participants, or 81% of survey participants, are likely to attend a non-fair related event at the fairgrounds. And then rock and roll, jazz, and R&B were the top 3 genres that survey participants would like to see as far as concerts at the fairgrounds. Survey participants are more likely to support concerts than any other type of event at the fairgrounds. That included festivals, sports events, trade shows, and so forth. 65% of survey participants were white, not Hispanic/Latino. 22% were Black, not Hispanic/Latino, and 5% were Hispanic. So the first question, have you attended an event at the Winston-Salem Fairgrounds within the last 10 years? 789 people, or 90% of survey participants are likely to attend or have attended an event at the fairgrounds. Just 10% said no, they had not attended an event in the last 10 years, 86 people. How likely are you to attend the Carolina Classic Fair? This was a little bit polarizing. You were basically never going to go to the fair, which there can be several reasons for that based on what's happened over the past few years. You were kind of in the middle, so at a 5, or you were a 10. So out of 874 people that answered this question, 139, aka 16%, were basically going to the fair no matter what. 159 people, or 18% of survey participants, were kind of on the fence. And then 28 people, or 3%, which that seems a little odd. Oh, there we go. 31 people, or 4%, were a 0 as far as how likely they were to attend the Carolina.
DJ?
Yep.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. I had a quick question. Of the people that are 0, is there a demographic breakdown of that?
I can find that out, in fact, relatively quickly.
I mean, you don't need to do it today. It was more of a question. I mean, because that seems, based on your comment about the Hispanic population being a lot in the 5 to 6 range.
Mhm.
I'm just curious who the 0% is. That, I mean, is that white population? Is that African American? Just more of curiosity.
Yes. Yes, I'll be
Hey,
able to do that.
DJ, I'll just jump in too. I'm just looking at this bar graph compared to the results, and the 10 is 18% and the 5 is 18%, but the 0 looks like it's only 4%, but the bar is equally as high. I don't know if that is representative.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that either. Which
Okay. Well,
I'll take over that.
that actually makes a lot more sense. So
Yeah.
31 are at 0%.
Right.
31 total. Okay, that's less concerning. DJ, I'm not as concerned about that question anymore.
That's all right.
Yeah, also check out your 7 and 8 values percentage-wise in numbers versus your graph.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You did that, DJ.
All right. How likely are you to attend a non-fair event at the Winston-Salem Fairgrounds, a concert, trade show, sporting event? 139 people were a 10. Again, going to the middle, 159 people were a 5 on the fence. And then a very low percentage, 4% were, or 31 people were a 0.
And wasn't it 31 people that were a 0 previously?
Yeah.
DJ?
Is it
Which
the
makes
same
me
31 people?
Yeah, 31 people are against anything that is the fairgrounds.
Yep. That's what it looks like.
Okay.
And yeah.
All right, so this one you'll see the percentages on the next page because it was so small. But what type of concerts would you like to see at the fairgrounds? Check all that apply. Rock and roll was number 1. I'll have to look back into the demographics behind who was likely to say that, but rock and roll was our highest genre. After that was jazz, and then right behind jazz is R&B, and then country. That's kind of like our top 4, top 5 there. Least popular one was heavy metal.
This is Vicky. I was looking at that last night, and I think that was why I asked about the contract that was signed. I think it was for country music when we had our meeting, our general meeting. And I was thinking about this right here. I wanted to see this breakdown. And it goes to show that we need to have a mix of different types of music, at least those top four, and then some of the other, the hip hop. You know, if we know that we're trying to reach certain age groups, for example, it would be good to have a mix, even including hip hop. You know, the community now is much more diverse than we were thinking about, and we need to look at using that very graphic right there that they showed to reach out and see if we can find some groups, you know, that those groups would like.
Thank you. And this is the, and I'm sorry, I didn't mean to switch pages in the middle of your comment, but I had
Oh,
already.
no, that's great. That's fine. That's fine.
But this is just a percentage breakdown of the graphic that you just saw. What types of events are you most likely to support at the fairgrounds? Check all that apply. So you have concerts at number 1 with 664 votes there. Festival shortly followed at 635. And then you have the fair, sports events, trade shows, and then other at 166 votes. Now, one thing I am looking forward to doing is with the others. I mean, there can be so many different responses with that. I may try to filter through and try to see a top 3 in terms of responses to the other, as far as the type of events that you would support at the fairgrounds. And then at the bottom, you'll see again the percentage breakdown with everything and the types of events that people are more likely to support.
One question, one comment I just wanted to make about that is that when I saw festivals, the first thing that came to mind was one like Cinco de Mayo. I didn't know if they used that area at the fairgrounds or if they were downtown, like at Corponing Plaza or wherever. But that's just one example. The Greeks have an event in May, I think it is, on a weekend. But again, like with this, the music festivals, you know, we could look at our city demographics and see who these groups are and reach out to them. If that's something that they really are high on, we could see what these groups would like to do at the fairground.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Greek festival is certainly an embedded component of our city now, and I think is very successful. And, you know, depending on the demographic breakdown of that 635, that could be indicative of maybe a group that Robert and the staff could target to host some festival events there.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Yep, that's fair. And I'll just piggyback. I know Vicky just mentioned we did host a Hispanic League Festival here last year. They typically do it downtown, and they are going back to downtown this year. But we did host them here last year when COVID was a concern, and we had the space kind of to spread them out and do more of a drive-in type mentality. So just wanted to put that note in there.
Quick question, Robert. What were some examples in the other category? Did the folks actually provide some?
Yeah,
idea?
I think that's what DJ just mentioned. We're going to print that list out. We haven't gone through it yet, so we'll print that list out, and like DJ said, we'll kind of pull some of the top three, kind of see if there's some kind of mutual choices there or what it is, or if it's more specific stuff. Like I could, I think I've seen something that was like a shoe show or things like that, which are kind of niche and unique, but also things that maybe we could maybe go out and find that could be helpful. So yeah, we'll get that list, and maybe we'll actually just send it out to the group here.
And this is, I believe, the last question. Please select all demographic identifiers that apply. And with 570 people identifying as white, 195 as Black, 48 as Hispanic, 12 as Asian, and so on and so forth. Personally, I'll say based on the groups that, especially with Adolfo with the city of Winston-Salem, with the organizations that he was able to help us get in touch with to send this survey out to specifically, I was a little surprised at how the demographic information is skewed. But these are kind of the results that we got. Any questions or comments on these?
One question, Vicky, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'll follow you.
One thought I had was, I did hear DJ talk about it. There were a lot of people in the 5-6 on the fair that were Hispanic. I think that to me leads a great opportunity for the fair to really, that means they're on the fence, that they're considering it, and that, they one small push and maybe they would consider the fair. But looking at the city's demographics versus the demographic breakdown of the folks using the identifiers, obviously we were well underrepresented in the Black and Hispanic communities. And I think I'm not sure that I have an answer for it, but I just think that continuing ways to get those folks to engage in these surveys. The last question I have is, and the only question I have is, other than my pontificating, is with other surveys that the city has done or the fairgrounds have done, how is this survey results, as in total quantity, breakdown by just in general, not a gut, more of a gut statement than a specified exact statement. Robert, was this a lot more people, equal, for what, kind of just curious.
Comparing to which other types of surveys?
Yeah, any other surveys, the fairgrounds or the fair, or I think have done publicly. And maybe you haven't. There's just no comparison.
Yeah, I don't.
But as a new member of the committee, I'm just curious.
Yeah, I don't think we did the fair naming one, which was, I don't know that it can be on the same scope of this, but I don't know, Rachel, if you have that total number from what the fair participation was, but that was more of an open-ended question. Just, hey, what's your new fair name?
Yeah.
With that, for the name change in 2019, we had 928 survey responses online. So, that doesn't count people that showed up for public input or social media or any of those. But compared to what we got, 875 from the community input, I think that's pretty good, especially because the name change one had people from all over the country were responding. So
no, I completely agree. I think this is actually really, that provides, I think, really positive feedback as it relates to this survey number compared to the fair, because the fair was such a hot button topic issue. So okay, thank you, Vicky. I'm sorry to have interrupted you.
Oh, no problem. I was going to ask, and I think probably Bob mentioned the demographics, the city demographics. So that's something that we are monitoring, right? As we work through different things, different meetings or items on the agenda, we are still closely monitoring the city demographics. That's the question.
Yeah, I guess I just need clarity on when you say closely monitoring the city
I guess,
demographic.
no, I was thinking, anytime, especially for what we're doing here, with this survey. I was just wondering, do we look at the demographics every year or what? How do we do that?
Well, so I think as a whole, and Ben maybe can correct me if I'm wrong, or Frank, I think the population, I guess, breakdown, I think typically what I've heard is African Americans about 30%, white is a little over 50%. And going back to Bill's point on this survey, my rough math is the Black or African American here was about 22, 23%. So obviously it's not truly representative in that standpoint, but it's close. It's 12 points away. So to that point, maybe there's a way we can reach out just specifically for this survey to gauge a little more interest on the back end. I'm not sure.
Vicky,
Okay.
are you also asking, and are we tracking the demographics of the folks who attend our events?
No, just the city population,
Okay.
the numbers and their breakdown. Because when we are doing, we've done this marketing project, and it would be good to see what the city demographics are, and we could match them up, with this as well. That could truly tell us, how many people we have as opposed to how many people were surveyed. And also it would let us know how many people are here. I see a number here under number 6. Please select all demographic identifiers that apply. And I see under Hawaiian Pacific Islander, it says 0%. And that reminded me of something at the beginning of the report too, but it says 4. So I guess we had 4 of Hawaiian or Pacific Islander descent to answer the survey.
Yeah, that's right. I would assume to that point it doesn't quite reach 1%, which is why it just shows us 0.
Okay, I see.
Yeah, because four out of the 900 or roughly 900 folks, that wouldn't get to the 1%. That's probably like 0.2.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's 0.46% of the responses.
Okay.
So for what it's worth, in the 2020 census, Winston-Salem was essentially 55% white, 34.2% Black. They don't break out Hispanic non-white as a category. Asian was 2.5%. Native American was 0.25%. Hawaiian or Pacific Islander was 0.08%. So as far as Hispanic, I don't know. They don't sit, and what I could find on the internet real fast didn't show a Hispanic breakdown.
That's
Frank,
strange that they didn't do that.
Frank,
It's 15% according to the US Census.
that's right. 15 is what I see too. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd had time to go delving deep into the internet, see what else I could find.
You can find anything on the internet, Frank.
Absolutely.
All right, well, that's all I have for this presentation. If you all have any other questions.
I guess my question goes to now that we've got this information, what's the plan?
Well, Bill, I think part of it is for the commission to discuss, what they see in the results, and what kind of recommendations that they, that you all would want to glean from that, as far as how, we proceed, as far as, diversifying our offerings, that type of thing.
Okay. Madam Chairwoman,
Yes.
so is that something we'll bring up on the next commission-wide meeting or what? I'm just curious. I'm sorry. I know I'm just in a bull in a china shop. I just ask lots of questions.
Yeah, it's no worries. But yeah, I think that we should definitely have this presentation to the full commission so that they can hear the information as well. This is very in line with what we talked about. I believe we've had a marketing committee one time before, Ben, and we had sort of the same results in that we knew the areas that we could focus on more, especially with our Hispanic population, that, we've got folks that are almost there, to wanting to participate, and we can do a little bit more to help them to be in line with that. So yeah, I mean, I think this is worth bringing to the entire commission so that we can then make a recommendation going forward for how we do marketing for our events.
And we'll try to do a little bit more granular. You all have already asked some, I think, great questions about the breakdown in certain responses and to show it by demographic, because I think we need to do it maybe at least one level deeper, drill down to kind of see, who provided the certain responses that we saw, because I think that could really, for example, you all made you made the observation about the 5 and 6 score there on the fair, and if that suggests to us that we've got a segment of the community that's kind of on the fence about attending the fair, then I think that could guide some of our marketing for the fair. And that is the fair. And I know a lot of our energy needs to be focused on the non-fair offerings at the fairgrounds, but I think we need to provide the commission members maybe a little bit deeper dive data for you to really kind of glean from that, potential recommendations or at least observations that we can develop some kind of a strategy, going forward.
I have a question. How was the attendance at the Charlie Wilson concert, and did we learn anything from it?
Attendance was good. It was, I think it was about 1,900 folks. We thought we'd get a little bit more there. I think if anything, what we learned or the feedback that we got from that, and this obviously off the top, and talking with some of the council members that night, and then even the radio station, I think, even though Charlie Wilson had just played Greensboro a couple months earlier as a support act, and Greensboro does a lot of their own R&B / hip hop type of entertainment, I think the folks who were there were excited that it was just in Winston. And I think that was important to the radio station and obviously council. And I think that echoed through into the crowd. So I think to me, that was kind of the most telling thing was, there's an opportunity to do these similar type of acts, and it really makes an impact to the folks who were there, folks who don't drive to Greensboro for whatever reason, and to know that they can have it in their backyard. I thought that was pretty powerful to a point.
Bob, let me make this comment, and it will also answer Billy too. You were instrumental in getting a ticket for me for a friend of mine that wanted to attend. And I had asked her to let me know what she thought of the concert. And so that Tuesday afterwards, she sent this text to me. She said, "Thank you so much for the ticket. I had a great time dancing and singing. It was a great show. So that's direct from a ticket holder. This is her comment. So evidently, you know, that was a good show. I was sorry I couldn't attend. I had a funeral for a family member I had to attend, but you know, if he comes again, I'd like to see him.
Yeah, sure. And so I think, you know, some of that, and maybe, you know, the greater commission can speak to that, some of this too. But I think for you all to, for I guess our purposes, DJ and I, as we book this facility and moving forward to similar concerts and shows, as we want to kind of start trending this build to really represent Winston-Salem and make more of an impact to more of these community members. I will say, even in this year, and trying to get similar types of acts and working with the radio station on this, it's hard to identify who to target. You know, if the radio station is not fully committed and they're not all on board, I don't know if we need to create some kind of, I don't want to say another subcommittee, or if it can be you guys to really help identify artists that would be a good fit for, you know, coming out of this. And that may be something to Bill's point earlier. Maybe that's where we can reach out to other certain members of the community and work with you guys, Vicky and Bill and Haley, and just using, you know, you all represent a portion of this community as well. So, I mean, although you're 5 people or whatever it is, you represent a good part of the community. So if you can represent 2,000 people, give or take, at a show, that's important to us getting feedback.
Well, you know, Bob, I was thinking about going back to look at the survey. I can't remember which, what type of concerts would you like to see in Winston-Salem? And what rock and roll, and of course, I think jazz followed that. And another friend of mine just mentioned over the weekend, on Saturday, that she went to attend a jazz concert, and it was downtown. What is that area?
Corporate and Plaza.
Not Corporate and Plaza. When you know, at First Presbyterian, is that Cherry Street? When you go down Cherry Street, it's right to your right. I still call that building the Sawtooth building. It's not Sawtooth. I forgot what it is now.
Talking about Winston Square Park?
Winston Square Park. I think in that area, evidently there was a jazz concert. And she told me that on Saturday. So I don't know when she attended, but I think it was fairly recent, or it may have been the same day of Juneteenth. I think it was. But, you know, I think we need to look at this survey, that page where it talks about the types of concerts, and see what artists we can find in those top 5 types of music or types of concerts. I think that would really help.
Vicki, did your friend attend the One Love Festival over the Juneteenth weekend?
Attend what?
The One Love Festival?
I don't know.
Okay, because I know they had performances at the Stevens Center and I think at the Ramcat. So
she didn't mention that, I don't think.
Okay.
I can ask her for sure.
Okay.
I can. Mm-hmm. And I can get back to you about that.
So yeah, I mean, I think I'll just recap. I think we can go further into it as a group. This group, I think that's kind of one of the reasons we were put here. And a lot of the stuff that I do, from what I get from other community members or organizations, just take it to the radio stations and say, hey, is this worth promoting? Will it draw? And you obviously got to do that research. And, you know, one of the things I found quite interesting is like pop was ranked fairly high on the on the survey results as a result. And gosh, and Ben can tell you, the last pop show we did, which, you know, we all thought would be great. We worked with Wake Forest University and their student union, and it was, you know, hey, this is going to be a great show. We booked, oh gosh, what was their names? It was
Echo Smith.
Echo Smith.
Echo Smith. So this pop group that had all these #1 hits, Echo Smith, and we need to be careful and make sure it translates. So, I mean, we sold like,
Well, how many people actually attended there?
well, we sold like 200 tickets and we lost, you know, like $80,000 or something crazy because the music didn't translate to the concert, to the community. So I think that's where we, you know, I think that's important, where the radio station comes into play, where once a list is developed, you can share it with the radio station. Do you play this? Do listeners request it? Do these kind of things? And that's how we operate now. And the difference is with country music, the country station we work with is very, for lack of a better term, ma and pa, where they're not commercialized, they're not corporate. It's, hey, we like all of these artists, go see what you can do and let's partner on it. While when we work with like QMG, like we did this past year or this past show with Charlie Wilson, they don't really recommend folks to us. They want us to bring people to them, and they kind of say, yeah, but they're all very cautious about how they present information, because in the corporate world, there's FCC regulations and they can't play music certain amounts of times. There's all kinds of regulations that prevent them from giving out too much information that would, you know, get them in trouble.
Well, they could, but going back to what you said earlier, they could not furnish information about music requests, you know, from persons that call in. I mean, we just basically only want to know who is popular among their listeners, and they should be able to tell us that. Just that simply, that's all we really need to know.
Yeah, and I think we can, I think that's part of the conversation we need to have, and then go back to some of the radio stations and say, hey, here's what our survey said. How can you help us? Can you give us a list, or what's the best way to do this on a year-to-year basis? So.
Robert, the group, several years ago when I was working for the city, we did a little video and with Bucky, and to try to market and promote, you know, our Coliseum and our venues and things like that. And one of the things I kept hearing people would say is that we're not on that 85 corridor from DC to Atlanta.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And Greensboro is there. And it's just something about people getting off 85 and coming to Winston-Salem.
Yes.
I don't think that's for us. I think that was more on a Coliseum study, when the Coliseum was trying to compete with Greensboro on a, you know, 15,000 person scale. I think we have a nice little niche. You know, our building seats 2,000 people. So I think it's just a matter of balancing a price of an admission ticket with the price of an artist and making sure it works. So, I mean, obviously we're not going to go out and book an Eric Church to fit in the annex, because he's going to do 10,000 plus folks. We need to be looking more for the folks who are going to draw 2,000 people at $30 to $40 per head. And that's, you know, that's kind of the wheelhouse that we try to identify at. Now, Charlie Wilson was a unique circumstance because, you know, we kind of went out and targeted him. He was very expensive, and, you know, we had to have an average ticket price that was like $95. So, you know, we almost wonder if we could have brought that ticket price down a little bit, more people would have came, but then the gross would have been a little lower. So there, you always play that balancing act of how do you make it work?
Well, you know, I understand that, you know, from the Coliseum aspect, but I was going to get around to say that I know of a lot of people, and I've been involved in some other marketing things where people from Winston will go to Greensboro for concerts and things. But I don't know what it is that people from Greensboro will not come over here because, you know, that's the population is Greensboro. You know, I don't know what the secret is, how to deal with that or not. But, you know, this is the kind of information and this is the kind of vibes I get from a lot of people.
No, I think that's true. We see that with everything. We see it with the fair. I mean, if you look at our fair demographic, I mean, the Greensboro percentage is so very low. I mean, I think Statesville area outdoes Greensboro and it's right there. So I think that's very normal. But I think the point of this survey is really to focus on like our community. And I do feel like artists that we can recruit, while we may get some trickles from Greensboro and Statesville, you know, it is about entertaining Winston-Salem and making it a more vibrant community.
Thank you, everyone. Any further questions or discussion for our city staff before we go? Anything else we need to put on the table? All right, well, if not, we will add this. Ben, can we add this to the agenda for our next full commission meeting? And then we'll talk about this with the full commission. And then if there be nothing else, we will adjourn. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day, everyone.